Hello, I'm Jordy Wolf. You're watching Expoz April 23, 2017, 1:54 a.m. in Birmingham. Topic: the year since creation till today. From creation, day one, Adam, Eve, till today. And I'll call it English year, and then the Hebrew year, creation till today. We have differences in Hebrew and English. At the time of the flood, Adam began in year one, and the Hebrew flood, it appears 1656, 1656 years into creation. And then we come up with a number 1250, roughly 57 of the day of the flood. But you're going to come up with two interesting things here, and you'll look at them and scratch your head. And you got, even using the year 1656 till today, is 4,307 years. And when you add that and then back into 1656, you have 5,963 years since creation. We go by AD, BC, and AD, before Christ, and then after death. That's the numbers I always used, or the letters. You can use whatever you want, but I'm going AC, after Christ, and BC, before Christ, or AD. So you can count those years of 33 years. And this put us on 6,000 years, April 2017. We set on 6,000 years, April 2017. Hebrew year, 5777. Now, if you add in 33 years of Christ, you still have 5810. But there's a gap between the Hebrew calendar of between 110 years, or adding Christ 143 years, using 5777. Now, another interesting, and I'm not skipping a point, I'm just making another. At the time of the flood, studies have been done using all who was listed in the Bible and the age of them. Of course, they didn't list every offspring that every child had, every child of Adam, and then all his children, their children, and all their children, grandchildren, and so on and so on. And at the age they lived back then, calculated at the time of the flood, lived and died, there was up to 40 billion people, but not on the planet at that time. Said between 5 billion at a low estimate and 17 billion is the likely estimate of the people on earth at the time of the flood. Keep in mind, the flood was very specific, had to kill the offspring of fallen angels, the watcher angels. What did it require to have between 5 billion plus people? In order to provide for that many people, they needed similar technology. They needed rail. refrigeration, shipping in refrigerated containers, sophisticated farming methods, and fast, reliable communications. And we have most of those things today. Our communications aren't too well, but and did they have them? Yes, they did. They had those things, except one. Now, unless there were waterways, rivers, we know Euphrates, and we know the Red Nile, we know the Blue Nile, we know these things. But when did those rivers begin? They came out of the Garden of Eden. Remember the rivers that came out of the garden. These are supposed to be the four rivers. And guess what? There were no large bodies of water in that time. There were no oceans then. There may have been some inland seas, even the Red Sea or the Dead Sea may not even have been there at the time of the flood. There were no large bodies of water. So Earth could easily sustain that many people without having to ship food 15,000 miles one way or 6,000 miles another. They didn't have to have it. If they could grow food right in the heart of Alaska, and then right in the heart of Siberia, and then, you got the mountain range, Peru, that goes to the South Pole. Well, they could farm the South Pole, but again, there were no large bodies of water. So, back to the timing. Who is right? Year 5777, which means we're still a good way off from year 6000, which would begin the final 7 years and then usher in the 1,000-year millennium. That's a hard one. And who says we're smarter than the Hebrew calendar? Who says they're on target and we're not? Well, none of that can be. I would say the Hebrew would be closer to us, to the time, than us. But I've told you all along, there's still a discrepancy at time, and I don't know where it is. Well, nobody knows where it is. But it may be that Hebrew is closer to the actual time since creation, but at the same time, the things that happen in the times of the end are happening now. All the things, especially Israel being reborn. Now, going back on some of these dates that people lived, when they picked an average of a 70-year generation, as we call it today, back then it was much higher than that. After the flood, it dropped sharply. It was high as, forget the pre-flood. After that, it was high as 89 years for a generation, and now it sits at 70. So if 70 is correct, we're sitting on the 70th year right now. And if that's the case, and we go by our time, which gives us 5,963 years, and add 33 years for Christ, that puts us on 6,000 years this month. So there's a lot of things that point at soon. I'll not say when, I'll say soon. And one is if you look in the and see what is said in Revelation 12 about what's going on in outer space, in Virgo, and then Jupiter and the King Star, and then, all these things. And then you go and look at other things that Israel became a nation in May 5, 1947. That's 70 years this year. That's a generation. And then we see other things. Wars and rumors of wars. Change the rumors and make it wars and threats of wars. We have that big time today. And we have a guy that should be at least 5 feet tall to call it a war, when that little thumb sucker over North Korea, I don't think he's that tall yet. I'm kidding there. But the time, the event, the things that have happened, you have Damascus, it's about to happen, and you have Ezekiel 38:39, it appears it's about to happen. Psalm 83, which is Damascus, again, that's about to happen. So everything is leaning toward now, right here, in the very near future, like in the next 1 or 3.5 years. So whatever you're thinking, assume tomorrow's the day. Assume tomorrow the church will be called home. If you make no assumption the rest of your life, assume tomorrow we're going home. Are you ready? Are you ready to go home? I am. No way in the world I would take a chance on being left here, because you have 4 angels coming out of River Euphrates that are pissed off and they will kill. And you have the tail of a dragon, which is Satan, will swipe 1/3 of the angels out of the heavens, and they'll fall to earth, and they're pissed off. And then you got all those hybrids they've been making since the 40s. They're coming out with a mindless bunch of machines that wants to fight. Doesn't matter how many of them die. What do they lose? They don't have a spirit. They don't have a soul. They're zombies. That's all. So, are you prepared for all this? Are you really prepared for it? If you're not, there's one way to escape it. Only one. John 3:16. If you're not ready to escape it, or if you don't believe what I'm telling you, then check out where I live and come to my house when I'm raptured, and you can get whatever I have that you can use. And hopefully you can live to be another day, and then another day, and then another, and just maybe you'll get through the tribulation. Highly unlikely that you will, but there's a chance. About this much. Jody Wolf, Expoz.